Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I am sitting here with Yusef, author of the book I Died and Came to Earth. And he does a lot of other things as well, but I have the luxury of having a lot of conversations with him on a regular basis since we live together. And last night we were speaking about the topic of suspending belief. So I want you to elaborate on what that means and how it relates to us as African people living in the United States.
Well, the idea of suspending anything means to remove it or hold it intact or do not utilize it. Belief is something that we generally hold as more important than knowledge. So the difficulty that we have is we tend not to suspend belief. In essence, we do the opposite. We allow belief to be the primary modality of our reasoning. So we believe, i.e., are told frequently to have faith in something, therefore believe, rather than exercise our intelligence and our astuteness and our ability to rationalize and thereby seek proof and evidence. The byproduct of that is that we tend to not suspend belief, i.e., we do the opposite. We tend to want to believe and push belief as the primary source of the way that we evaluate or think about things. The only thing that's wrong with that is that it eliminates the possibility of fact, thereby seeking knowledge, thereby making it difficult for us to ascertain the state of affairs of any given situation. More often than not, we believe that, let's say, the nation has our interests at heart, though we tend not to investigate how and under what circumstances does the nation have our interests at heart. So we believe what we're told rather than determine through fact, through research, or through some sort of effort to find the fact or truth related to that something. We just accept the idea that's been offered to us. Therefore, we believe in, say, for example, Santa Claus. And I'm sure that many of us now who are adults became very disappointed once we found out there was no such thing as a Santa Claus. And rather than our parents or some person of an elderly position that we trusted and tell us the truth, they gave us something to believe in because they thought it was cute or they thought perhaps it had value. But when we discovered that someone had lied to us, we learned immediately, we have to suspend belief. Don't believe what they tell you. Well, that's a matter of trust. To have faith in something is a reflection of trust. It isn't a matter of confidence, i.e., confidence indicates to you that there has to be something that backs up. There's something that you've been told that is so or true, and thereby you give value to what people tell you. That poses a very specific problem since we have been here in a country that has demonstrated that it doesn't have our interests at heart. We were forbidden to learn to read. We were told, just do what I say, just have faith in what we're telling you. Let's have faith in a biblical instruction that says it's actually okay to enslave people. And then we accept the idea that because a book, a holy book, or a book of the Quran endorses slavery. The Torah endorses slavery. The biblical reference endorses slavery. So we're told that we must have faith that God ordained our condition. Therefore, we have to have faith that God knows better than we. But God is not the one that's suffering the pain, the suffering that's involved in picking cotton. I listened to a piece that you and I were watching where this person, I do not remember his name, unfortunately.
The attorney speaking about...
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I can't remember his name either.
I can't remember his name, unfortunately. But he points out, he did something that I often have done. He did it a little more intensely. That is that we talk about picking cotton, and I have shared with you, as my dear wife, that I have picked cotton. And I certainly am offended by the idea that one should, pick cotton. He points out, in fact, that a cotton ball if you pick the cotton ball, you purchase cotton from a drugstore. It doesn't weigh anything. It weighs absolutely nothing. So I have discussed with people during lectures and that I have offered to children the same idea. Take a piece of cotton and see how much it weighs. It weighs absolutely nothing. You couldn't put it on a scale, a ball of cotton, on a scale and actually get a reading unless it was an extremely sensitive scale. So the cotton, for all practical purposes, weighs nothing. Well, I recall as a child watching people pick 200 to 300 pounds of cotton in the course of a 8 or 12-hour day from sun up to sundown. He expands it even further. He points out the fact that the same premise, the same idea, that African people had picked in a given season somewhere around a few billion pounds of cotton. Well, that's a tremendous undertaking, primarily because they had faith, confidence, and they believed that that was something that they should do as a normal part of their day, because that's what their lives were faced with. A normal day during cotton season, cotton picking season, was filled with picking cotton. Therefore, that was a part of what they had to do, and they were told, just believe, and we'll get this done. Well, we must learn to suspend belief, because we must investigate what is actually going on versus what we've been told. We are told to believe in the immaculate deception, that I call it. That poses a very unique problem, because we've asked to believe that in the course of maybe 10 billion human beings on the planet Earth over a course of millennia, that somehow one person, one individual, could have an idea that a deity could be born without any penetration or interaction between a living female and a living male. Therefore, we get the immaculate deception. So we must learn to suspend the belief of those things that we're told, particularly when those things make no logical sense. They have no scientific basis for proof. We know that, in fact, in the case of Buddha, we're told through the legend of those persons who are Buddhists, that Buddha was born through his mother's thigh, and that he actually came out of the mother's body through the thigh, began to walk, and every time he would make a step, there would be a lotus blossom that would bloom after each of his footsteps. We've told that Zeus, for example, was born out of his father's thigh or side. Well, these are mythological tales that we've been told that we must believe that they are factual. Well, that introduced a quality of psychosis if, in fact, we are accepting ideas, thoughts, premises, and expected to operate on the basis of those things, simply because we have to have faith in them. I have a son who, he and I were talking just the other day, and when as a young child, I explained to him that the idea of Yeshua ben Joseph, or Jesus Christ, the anointed title that he was given, indicates that he was blonde and blue-eyed. I explained to him, well, the people in those regions, i.e. in the Middle East, that isn't true. Their skin color is dark. Their skin color is from dark to black. The Cushites, the other persons of various Asandria complexions, that the people in the East are in fact dark-complected people, particularly those in Africa, throughout the continent, whether that be north, south, east, or west of the continent. There are Africans that range from the hue of my color to absolutely purple black. Now, and then we get a being that is born out of that, and he is cream white, blue eyes, blonde hair, and somehow that's projected as an idea that we must accept as proof positive that this is true and this is so. Well, that tends to test, the psychosis or the mind of a person, because you're accepting an idea that in fact has no basis of proof, and that poses a problem. So the idea again of suspending belief, we must learn to examine the information that's offered to us. And offered to us, we must have faith in it rather than examine it and give some scrutiny to what is being told us. That is like the Easter bunny laying chicken eggs. That makes no sense. And the sense of that distorts the understanding of the human being, because the brain actually is an organ that is searching for specifics and searching for information that can be validated. But you cannot validate belief. You can only accept it as being so. So my son told one of his teachers what I had told him during a Sunday school test. His grandmother would send him to, quote unquote, a Christian Sunday school. And when he told the Sunday school teacher what I had told him, the Sunday school teacher insisted that he come out of the classroom, go to the minister or / preacher, and talk with him concerning this idea that he was projecting in the school. So he told the minister, well, my father said, because he as a little boy was having some problem with the authority and possible repercussions that he could suffer as a result of persisting in it. He said, well, my father told me this. So he says, yes, son. You say, but what you must have, son, is faith. Just accept it on the basis of faith. So my son, who's now 50 plus years old, he and I laughed about it, because that, for a long time during the course of his life, suggested to him that he couldn't suspend belief. He had to believe.